Well, good morning, welcome back. Now you saw there in the first sequence that the rust on the outside of these fenders was treated to some rust converter. I'm sure you know what this is, but basically you apply it to the rusty areas of metal, having ground out all the loose stuff. It reacts chemically with the rust and it forms a stable compound. Then after a suitable time for that to cure, you just scuff up the surface of it lightly to give a good key, and then they've applied 4 coats of 2K epoxy sealer. Now, sealer is not to be confused with primer. It's not the same thing at all. Its job is to seal the metal, like it says in its name, and it seals it away from any moisture ever getting near that metal ever again. Now, the guys in the body shop are walking me through the process of this preparation one step at a time. So as we are at this moment, we've got a rust converter on the rusty metal, we've got a sealer over the rest of the metal, and now these panels are ready for the repair. And that means filling the dents and the cavities and the ripples that I made when I welded up all the unwanted holes. Now that's going to be a fairly long and laborious process, so I've got a long old day ahead of me, but before I get started on that, I've got an absolutely critical process to carry out first underneath the fenders. Now, there's been a load of speculation in the previous videos about why these fenders rusted as badly as they did, and also why so many Harley fenders rust in this way. And lots of people saying that it's because there's no primer on the metal. Well, the stuff I was flaking off, it had primer on the inside of it, so there is primer there. I think the problem comes, and this is just my opinion, from the inside. It's because if you take a look in there, there's absolutely no stone chip protection whatsoever. I've bought new Harleys and taken the fenders off for various reasons, and I've seen inside that the paint is exactly the same paint in there as they put on the outside, but they don't even apply it as properly and as thoroughly as they do on the outside, because it doesn't get seen. You basically get a thin layer of body paint and maybe a bit of primer, but that's it. So obviously, because there's no stone chip protection, the rust begins underneath. Then when you drill holes in the fender to mount badges and furniture, etc., that means that the rust that's developing underneath can weep out through those holes. And the cut edge of the hole, there's no paint on that whatsoever, so in goes the moisture under the paint. That's my personal opinion of how these rot so badly, and a great proof of that is a great normal place for this rust to start is for a scab to form around the seat mounting screw. Hands up out there, who's had that? You get the little screw where you screw your seat down, a scab develops around it because the water's flicking up underneath. That cut edge of the hole has got no paint in it, and the water goes under your paint and it starts working sideways. And that's where all this comes from, all for the want of a little bit of stone chip. So to combat that on my fenders and make sure it never comes back again, I'm going to thoroughly stone chip protect the inside of them. But because there's already a little bit of rust in there, I've ground out the worst thoroughly with a wire wheel. There's only a residue in there now. Before I put the stone chip in, obviously rust converter first of all to stabilize what's in there so it stops where it is. There we go. Right, now while that's curing, on to the next thing. Start filling the dents and cavities, starting with the 4 deepest ones first. Now that's basically these 3 and this one. Right, now this product is a bridging filler. It's unlike the usual white crumbly stuff. It's a mixture of fiberglass strands in a resin. So it's extremely durable, flexible, solid, tough. It doesn't crack. And it's designed for filling deeper holes, probably up to about 1/2 inch deep. And it will absolutely stay put. And just like regular filler, it can be sanded and it's flexible, but it's designed, like it says, for bridging deeper holes than normal. We're going to put regular filler over the top of this, so you don't need to fill it right up to the level. Just make that deep hole shallow. Now deliberately rub it down so it's a bit lower than the surface, so you can put a thin skin of filler over the top. You can see these little dots where it's filled in some of the pock marks from the rust. So that's nice and smooth, just with a few ripples instead of big holes. Let's do the other one. Right, that's the two main repairs filled. In fact, that's the only repair on this fender. But on the front fender, there's all those little ripples along the side and around the back where I filled all the holes up. So while that's curing, let's get those filled as well, so we can rotate between sanding and filling and make best use of time. This is literally just little ripples that I'm filling in so they completely disappear, and they need nothing more than just a wipe of filler along and then blocking out. Simple. There, just a smooth slide that filler along. Little secondary fill on that just to get the shape absolutely correct. Right, well that's curing. Going to attack the other one. Right, 120 grade, just to rough it down. And back to 180, just for final shaping. So all the back's done around there, that's perfect. Ready for primer. Both these sides, absolutely mirror smooth. Perfect. Just a little pinhole in the front. And then a quick resand of that one. So let's put some wet filler in that and I can sand the other one. There we are. Perfect. Swap over. Right, that's all the repairs done. No ripples, no cavities, no holes. Lovely, excellent. Now because it's got that sealer on it and that is rock hard, it needs a key. So the whole lot now, including the filler, needs a gentle rub down with a 320 grit just to give it a key for the primer. Okay, there we are. A long day and lots of work, but finally all repaired and ready for primer. Now it's pretty boring sanding down body filler, and I can only imagine it's quite boring to watch as well. So I thank you genuinely for your engagement in this project. And as you can see, preparation is what it's all about, and it's long and it's laborious and it's boring, but it has to be done if you want an absolutely flawless finish. So with these ready for primer, the next thing is the fuel tank, and there's a lot of work to do on that. There's a few chips and scratches that have got to be feathered out so they disappear, and also it's got decals on the side that are stuck under the clear coat. Now you might just think you can feather out the edges of the decal where you can feel it, but unfortunately you can't. They've got to be removed completely. You've got to get them out from underneath the clear coat. And that means sanding back the clear coat to expose the decal, the actual plastic vinyl that's underneath there, and peeling it off. But of course, you can't peel them off because they're rock solid. You've got to grind them out with a toffee wheel, so something else I can introduce you may never have seen before. But all of that is in the next video. So thanks for watching. Take it easy, ride safe. I'll see you next time.